What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. In this video, we are getting into the final issue of Teen Titans Academy, being issue number 15. This is bringing everything to a close. We had last left off with Stitch, Matt, and the Bat Pack somehow getting their way to Apocalypse. This was done completely by mistake. Stitch had opened up a portal to try to get to the Rock of Eternity, not fully mastering the ability to make portals. They find themselves surrounded by parademons. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with this series, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It'll get you completely caught up on this entire series. Be sure to buy the comic, support the industry, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this final issue, we have the Bat Pack, we have Matt, we have Stitch, with Stitch referring to them as the Young Justice Dart. Not an official name, just something that she has been throwing around. And they are currently preoccupied trying to get through one of these doorways. Having Dane, aka Nevermore, and Black Adam, which is from the future. That's a whole story that was covered in the Shazam line, being completely swarmed by parademons. This door has an anti-life encryption. That means they are gonna have to use straight brute force to break it down. This is where Matt comes into play. And we've seen in previous issues that he has some kind of heat vision, thinking that maybe, just maybe, he's a Superman clone or Superboy clone, something of that nature. But this time, the power, it is much different. Because as those beams come from his eyes, what they look like are Omega beams. Those Omega beams blow down this door, and that is where we see Shazam. This brings up so many questions on who Matt is. Where are his origins? Does he come from Apocalypse? Is he somehow a clone of Darkseid? Someone's mad science experiment? And while this raises so many different questions, they are still in Apocalypse, which means they need to get out of here before some reinforcements come in and try to take them down. Taking us over to Chupacabra, reconnecting with a long-lost uncle. What he learns about his uncle is that he seems to be a relatively nice guy. Not only that, he is an amazing artist. And there's two very interesting things about this conversation that goes on throughout the comic. First of all, we're learning that the uncle, he doesn't seem to have some other kind of agenda. There appears to be no ulterior motive lying underneath the surface. This is more about helping Chupacabra become the best version of himself. And his uncle knows that he is hiding a secret. He doesn't know what it is. But Chupacabra has been hiding this secret, and it is preventing him from becoming the best version of himself. And so while the two of them dive into that conversation, we pick up with the Titans. And they have been working frantically to try to find a way to separate Changeling and Cyborg. Raven has come up with an idea. While they're not disclosing exactly what that is just yet, she believes it could work. And at this point, they have no other options. And so while Raven is really focusing all of her energy on this, Nightwing and Starfire are trying to figure out how to get in contact with the Bat Pack and everybody else, because they don't even know that they're on Apocalypse. They got some kind of emergency beacon, but they don't have a location. And so while they wait eagerly for any kind of communications to come back through again, we are taken to the Rock of Eternity. Stitch had opened up a portal, and Nevermore had guided them to the Rock, with everybody now safe and sound. Shazam, Captain Marvel, he doesn't let us know what he has been up to. He doesn't let us know why he is spying around Apocalypse. They are keeping whatever he has been up to under wraps. This is when they get communication back with the Titans. When Starfire comes onto the screen, they know they are in a heap of trouble. Taking us over to Chupacabra. They're up on the rooftop, and his uncle is letting him know that he needs to be who he is. The truth is, the secret he has been hiding is that he grew wings. These wings had just come in a couple months ago, and while he was very excited about this, He was really concerned about how people would react to him having bat wings, believing that people would see him more as a freak than anything else. But his uncle truly does encourage him, lets him know that you may be self-conscious, but at the end of the day, we're all the same. This world that we live in is so filled with all kinds of different things. You cannot let what people are gonna think about you really dictate how you're gonna live your life. Having the confidence to be able to get on that ledge, we see Chupacabra take to the sky, taking us back over to the Rock of Eternity. We have everybody saying their goodbyes. And even in this conversation, he remains so vague on what they have to do. But nonetheless, a portal is opened up, and all of our young Titans, they make their way back to Titan's Tower. Before this conversation does come to an end, it is foreshadowing what is supposed to be the new champion of Shazam. A line that will be starting in August. More than likely, it is going to fill us in on all the adventures that Billy has been up to. Now, as we get back to Titan's Tower, we pick up with Raven, Changeling, and Cyborg. By all appearances, it looks like the two of them have been split apart. The truth is, they are still one. Raven is creating an illusion. This illusion is so good, so complex, that they appear as two different people, but they are still linked together. This, of course, is only temporary. Star Labs is working with all of their effort to try and figure out some kind of way to separate these two, to give them their lives back. But until that happens, Raven says that this is the best she can do, and she can keep this illusion going on for as long as needed. And so while Psybeast, Beastborg, whatever it is still technically a thing, to the outside world, they are two separate individuals. What will be interesting to see is how these illusions work if they were to jump into combat, because it does appear that they can touch things, they can feel things, but can they use their abilities, use their powers separately? How would all of that work? They might even sideline them and not let them go out. This just gives them an opportunity to feel like they have some kind of independence from one another. But that doesn't mean that they would be any kind of combat effective. With the new Teen Titans Tower being erected, it is getting that time to start a new semester. A new school year is about to begin. As our young heroes begin to gather, we pick up in the auditorium with Starfire giving a speech. This speech really entails what the Titans stand for, that there is no secret that this place has definitely had its ups and downs. Their first year was definitely bumpy, but we have a new lineup of young heroes. She inspires them to be something better, to be something great, to be a part of something that could change the world, because together they are Titans. And that will be the end of this series. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. You know, it's definitely not a bad ending to this series. It leaves room for a lot of other really spin-offs and one-shots, so on and so forth. From Chupacabra to Shazam to Black Adam to the Bat Pack. There is lots of story still to be told in this, especially with Matt and his freaking Omega Beams. And this really was well written. If the other issues had been this well written, this series might not have been cancelled, but they focused so heavily on the Red X aspect that it took away from what Teen Titans Academy could have been, and their constant teasing of who Red X is, saying that Red X is revealed when it's not actually revealed, just all kinds of craziness that convoluted this story. What started out having so much potential, it really did fall apart through these 15 issues. Not to say it was necessarily bad, it just wasn't great either. But I am fully invested into figuring out who the heck Matt is. Why does he have Omega Beams, and how powerful will he actually become? Not only that, I'm interested in Shazam. Who is going to be the new champion? It did seem like they were hinting that maybe it's going to be Mary. Of course, that could always just be a misdirect. When it comes to the Infinite Frontier storyline, this is probably one of the weaker series. It definitely introduced us to some new characters representing all spectrums of life. It did a really good job of representing the younger generation, because I saw a recent study that said Gen Z, I think 20% represent themselves as LGBTQ+, so on and so forth. And we had Stitch, who I believe is non-binary. I know I was calling Stitch she, but it is actually they, them. We have Chupacabra, who is gay himself, but then you have people of all different spades and colors and shapes. It is really a well-rounded story that does great for representation, and it's also teasing us with some more Red X, which I am excited to see who the main Red X is. I believe it's Red X number 2. It might have been number 3, I can't remember. Like I said, the story was very convoluted, so they were really throwing it all over the place. We know that that is going to be a threat in the future for Nightwing, hell-bent on bringing the Titans down. Not knowing his identity, Nightwing will be determined to bring this individual to justice. So let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by hitting the Super Thanks button. This button will let you donate directly to the channel, and every little bit helps us out. Now if you can't do that, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.